You figure out a way to get that splinter out, and then you put a band-aid on and you move on. This is not like that. This is something we cannot fix and can't control, and that was really hard to wrap our heads around. This is going to be our life circumstances.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us at Inspired Onward. I'm Danelle, and today we're continuing a conversation with Audra Nau. They found out that Joshua and Caleb have a very rare genetic neuromuscular disorder. It's a story of resilience, hope, and going forward no matter how difficult any circumstances are. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so Caleb really kind of was a little bit on the back burner at that point. He grew up in many ways really fast. He became a lot more independent and responsible for himself. And he kind of took on the role of caring for his brother, looking out for Josh, we had to make sure somebody was at home with Josh all the time. And Caleb internalized a lot of responsibility, kind of took that on, feeling like he needed to be the caregiver for Josh. Years later, he realizes that was actually quite traumatic for him without realizing it at the moment. One thing that's great about Caleb, his personality is he talks through things. He doesn't hold it in.
Dustin and I and other people in the mental health are experienced people coming in their 40s and older, and here they're finding out it's this backlog of a whole bunch of things. It's affecting the rest of their life. What a wise young man he is.
When Caleb was first diagnosed, once Josh recovered from the paralysis and was able to do a lot of rehab and sort of recover, that's kind of when it hit Caleb.
I want to find out more about you and Dustin as well, and that exchange. I'm having a hard day today, Audra, or I'm having a hard day today, Dustin. Same at the same time.
Unfortunately, that's true too.
What do you do in those moments where maybe it is you're overlapping each other in the challenge?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to just acknowledge it. I really can't do any more than I'm doing today. And we have to be okay with that. I mean, there's days I really like a clean house when my house is cluttered or the bathrooms aren't cleaned or whatever. And I've had to learn to let that stuff go.
Is this called pacing?
Yeah.
You're pacing?
Yeah.
I had a previous interview with someone who is chronically ill, and she talked about pacing, and it sounds very similar. I mean, it's not for the same reasons, but I think it's helpful for the same reason.
Like there's just lots of little things that we've had to adjust with our lifestyle. Going to school online is the only way that the boys can go to school. They just physically do not have the stamina to get up and go to school, and they can't go to classes in the morning. Their bodies aren't really able to move well until late morning. Days they can't barely function. Somebody was telling me about something called a spoon analogy. So everybody's got, say, you've got 10 spoons. An average person would have 10 spoons. Something that takes me 1 or 2 spoons takes the boys probably 4 or 5. I think like when we were in the midst of the really critical crisis time with Josh when he was in the hospital and was paralyzed. I mean, there was a lot of family and friends that came alongside us and supported us, but we really had to sort of figure out what role we could manage. So I was the one who was at the hospital the most. I mean, Dustin and Caleb came to visit a lot, but I literally was there either around the clock or from early morning till late at night. And Caleb was just doing what he could to keep the house together because I was literally here for sleeping and that's it. So it was crazy. But we all kind of figured out what we could do and we just stuck with that. And that's how we got through.
In a situation like this, the unknown can weigh heavily on us and create a lot of stress and anxiety. And then that interferes with our functionality, of course. So I kind of want to go into that stress and fear component in all of this. How on earth do you and Dustin deal with that fear, the unknown? What do you pull on?
Well, definitely each other, and our faith is a huge part of that. I don't. Josh said, "Mom, how do people do something like this if they have no faith? What kind of source of hope would they ever have?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I could do it." It was very profound for him to be sitting in the hospital, fighting so hard to get better and wanting to give up some days. Of course, that's natural.
Right.
He said, "I would have given up a long time ago
if he didn't have the faith."
Yeah. And our faith too. And he said, he said, "Sometimes I just know that you guys have enough hope and faith for me because I don't have it today." For him to say that was huge, because if you don't communicate those really deep, important things, we don't know how to support him. This really difficult experience has grown him in a way that's made him so much stronger and able to communicate what he needs, what he wants. I would still say it's not naturally his gifting, but he's able to do it now, whereas before he couldn't. So, we always try to look back at some of the difficulties that we have overcome as a family. We like to look back at some of those things and just celebrate those victories that we've had along the way. I think it's really important to look back at things that you've done in your life that are really hard, and know that if you can do that, then whatever situation you're in now, you can make it through. And I just think so many people can relate to that feeling, that sense of like, I am so overwhelmed by this situation. I feel like I'm not even treading water. Like I'm literally up like a little ripple of water and I'm under. And I think it's so important for people to realize that they're not alone, and that there are people who care about them and want to help. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, is learning to communicate that help. I need help today. And realizing that everybody's normal is different. Realize that there's no comparing our family with another family. We are in such a unique situation, and our normal day is going to look completely different than most people.
Than any other.
We have to be okay with what our normal is, and not worry about trying to keep up with what's another family's doing.
How on earth do we get through those times? What do we pull on when we're absolutely individually and then together as a family, we're completely dehydrated? We've got to look beyond ourselves, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I think it's crucial. I think it's that one missing piece that people, a lot of people are searching for. They think they can do it on their own, and they can't.
Right.
And I think when people come to that realization that they can't do it on their own, looking for, okay, well, what is that part that's missing? What am I missing here? There's something I'm missing, because I should be able to do this, but I'm not able to. And they sometimes find someone else who's more resilient or more able to cope with something that's similar, and then look at what they have that the person who's looking might be missing. And I think that's huge in terms of your recovery. Like I even think of like how addicts join support groups, and they rely on each other and give each other advice and wisdom and encouragement. And I just think that's so important, People should not journey through difficult journeys alone. And I think sometimes our initial response is to just withdraw and see
Yeah.
if we can figure it out. But I truthfully think that's, from our experience, probably the biggest mistake people make, because then they're even more isolated. And I think we really were humbled by the amount of people who wanted to help and encourage and didn't know how, but they just said anything. Just tell us anything, we'll do anything. And sometimes it would be some random thing like, I have no milk and eggs at the house. And someone would go get milk and eggs and bring it to our house. Like just simple things, honest things, people who made meals for us and would drop them off at the house. I mean, I've done that for others before, but to be the one receiving all of that is very humbling for all those people who, had that hunch or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They need something, I'm just going to text them, or I'm going to call them, or I'm just going to stop over and see if they need something. Like our next door neighbor mowed our front lawn for us one time because it looked like an absolute jungle, because Caleb couldn't physically do it. Josh was in the hospital, I was with Josh, and Dustin was trying to work, and our yard looked like a jungle, and we came home and our neighbor had mowed our lawn. Like those are just such huge things that you don't think about.
We get afraid that we don't know what to do, what to say, how to support, and that we might do it wrong.
Yeah.
It's all encompassing when it comes to our children not doing well, not being well, and we don't know where this is headed.
Of the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part's hard some days for sure. Other days, like I think basically when I was talking before about mindset, you choose to keep going and you choose to keep fighting. We also choose to look for those opportunities where we can do something as a family and do something enjoyable and make memories while we can. Because we don't know how long they will be to do some things. So we just, if we have the chance, we just do it. We don't wait, because we've decided we can't, and it's not wise to wait. So we don't live in a mindset of doom and gloom, like this is what's going to be coming. We look for those ways to celebrate life and make memories. I think people get so stuck in the terrible that they fail to recognize those small opportunities where they could do something different or make a special memory with someone, that down the road you can look back on and be so thankful for. Something that we choose to do as a family. We choose to know that for us, we trust that God has everything in control. It's our hope and faith and trust in a plan that's bigger than what we can understand, and why we have been given this journey, and that we believe that there's a much bigger plan and purpose than we probably will ever understand, for what's happening to our family. Good, it's a choice you have to make for yourself.
The choice.
Am I going to trust God, or am I going to just stay angry and blame God because I'm laying here in this hospital bed and I can't move? And he really had to come to terms with that. And that was huge. It's so easy to say, well, God is a mean God. Why would he do this to our family? Right. People say that to us.
Really?
Yeah. How can there be a loving God if this is what he does to your family? And we've had to say, it's not what God does to us. It's circumstances that he allows us to walk through, that he walks through with us. And it's a completely different perspective of looking at the situation. But it is what it is. Okay. So we either choose to deal with it. This is so out of our control. And that is hard as a parent when your kids have a problem and you can't fix it. Yep. That is very challenging. When your kid gets a splinter, well, you figure out a way to get that splinter out, and then you put a Band-Aid on and you move on. This is not like that. This is something we cannot fix and can't control. And that was really hard to wrap our heads around. This is going to be our life circumstances. God is allowing, it's not that he's picking on our family or purposely doing something bad to us. This is in some way part of a bigger plan that I probably won't ever be able to figure out. But I see bits and pieces because I see how the boys' story has impacted some of their friends. Them not give up. And some of their friends have said, they're so inspiring. I think my life is hard. And then I think about Josh. And then I think, step up to the plate and act like a man. Josh can, I can. Being angry with God, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but if you stay stuck there, that's definitely a bad thing.
Yeah.
And we told that to Josh and to Caleb too. It is okay to tell God you're mad at him. God can handle it. There's so much more awareness of mental health now. But I think it's so important for people to realize you do need to accept what's going on, what circumstances you're stuck with, or that you have to be going through. You need to acknowledge that. It's so important to acknowledge that, not pretend it's not there or try to pretend that you're okay when you're not.
What is the purpose for you today in doing this interview, Audra? What's the bottom line?
I think to share with other people that life is hard, but how you deal with the circumstances you're dealt with is crucial to your survival, really, and your ability to stay stuck or to thrive. And I think acknowledging what you're going through, acknowledging how you're feeling, and finding ways to deal with those things and to ask for help dealing with those things is huge. And I think just being real with yourself and with the people around you, communicating with the people who love you and want to help you, being honest with how you're feeling on a certain day is so important. Knowing that your normal might not be anybody else's.
Yep.
And being okay with that is huge. You choose to have a mindset where you can learn and grow and change and adapt. Stick together. I know I've heard so many times the statistics of people who get divorced if they've lost a child. They just can't manage that situation and they end up getting divorced. And I think that's the point where you should be coming together, not coming apart. I hope that if somebody's watching, this is exactly what they needed to hear, that this is something that will help someone. Even if it's one person, it's worth it.